Hey, I'm Councilman Wallace, Mount Vernon. I'm here to set the record straight on the firehouse and all of the allegations being made by Mayor Thomas and Joseph Spezio that are not true. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to actually break down everything that has been said and finally come out and put this all in the public. So this way everybody can have a full understanding of exactly what's going on. First, the project was to build the EOC Center, which was granted by the Homeland Security under the Clinton administration. And it was then bidded out under the Ernie Davis administration, which I won the bid for $1.3 million. When it came time after they signed the contract, they found out that they had some shortcomings and there was only $900,000 in the budget. When I found out that and we had meetings, they asked me to evaluate and engineer the project and bring it down into cost. Not only did I bring it down into cost, I ended up donating $70,000 to that project. This is something that Mayor Thomas wouldn't even know about. You know, even though he sat for 4 years as the city councilman, as co-chair of this project, he has no clue of what he's talking about still today. And it keeps on going on. So we're going to set that straight so everybody can have a clear understanding of exactly what's going on. Okay, there was also additional work that was needed in the firehouse that was above and beyond. So it came into change orders where I had to do these particular things as well to make sure that the EOC Center is delivered to the people of Mount Vernon. And I was very adamant about making that happen. See, with the money that Homeland Security gave, there's still another $500,000 that's sitting there that goes for the finishing, which means it's going to go for the wiring, for the computers, for the smart boards, and all of the other things that go in there. That's in phase 2. The mayor keeps on saying it's missing, but what the mayor's missing is that's not my job. That needs to be bidded out. That needs to bring in an IT company to finish addressing what needs to be done that I haven't done. My job is already completed. So when you look at what exactly the mayor is saying, he has not spoken the truth about anything. And he continues to go along with Joseph Spezio and his plan to discredit me and discredit my business, which the truth will come out and we will get to see today exactly what the truth is.
Mount Vernon started work on the city's much-needed new operations center back in 2013.
That's right. Contractors finished major construction on the 3rd Street facility more than a year ago, but it's still empty, and apparently so is the city's ability to pay its contractors.
Well, News 12's Ty Milburn has that story you'll see first on 12.
In April of 2013, the city of Mount Vernon broke ground on a state-of-the-art $1 million emergency operations center at Fire Station 3, where the fire union president says police, fire, and other central services would be able to work side by side during emergency situations.
Everybody would have been in the same room. Everybody's bouncing ideas off of each other.
The feds chipped in about $1 million to pay for it, but 2.5 years later, the operations center is nowhere near complete. Right now, it's just one big empty room.
City ran out of money. Ductwork, everything is all done.
The main contractor on the job, Wallace, who just won a seat on the city council, is still owed $150,000 from the city.
Where did the money go? You know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
We didn't have all of the money in place.
Mark Warren, the city's buildings commissioner, says it's true the city had cash flow problems and cost overruns for the project.
We had some emergency roof work that had to be completed. And in doing that project, at the start of the project, we had some project overruns. So even at the beginning of the project, we ran into issues in terms of unforeseen construction issues.
He insists Wallace and the other contractors should be paid in next year's budget, which is little consolation to the workers who completed the job last year and simply want to get paid.
There's really no excuse at all for this. It should not. If you're going to start a project, you have to finish a project.
So the big question tonight is when exactly will the emergency center be open? City officials say they simply just don't know yet. In fact, they say in addition to the $1 million they received from the feds, they still need another $500,000 to officially complete the project.
As you can see by the clipping and the news report, Exactly what I said was the facts. You know, you don't have to take my word for it. There was it on News 12, and from the building commissioner himself, who explained that they ran out of money. Now the project still was done, even though they ran out of money. You know, I end up still doing a lot of the work and getting all of the job completed. So what is left to do is the other $500,000 that is sitting there waiting to be drawn down. You know, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon as the mayor continues to play these games along with Joseph Spezio. So what he's really doing is hurting the citizens of Mount Vernon and discrediting not only me, but all of those people who voted me in to watch over the city and make sure that we do things right. And right now, it's not being done right. What needs to happen and what needs to be going on now is the mayor needs to be focusing on how to complete the center, which we already had approved that $500,000 as I came in as a councilman. So now what we need to do is to get into action and stop playing these games, because these games are silly. The money's owed. It always has been owed. And I could have sued the city way back, maybe 2 years ago. But I tried to work it out with the city because this is my city. And I don't want to hurt my city. Because my city is a great city. And that's what we're looking to do, make this city even greater and move our city forward. And that's what we should be focusing on, not on these silly attacks and silly games. Okay? So the money was then put into the next year's budget because of the shortfall to be paid. And that's something that you don't have to hear from me. You can hear it for yourself from someone else.
Mayor Davis, you spoke at the State of the Union about the emergency room in the firehouse, that you received money from Homeland Security and the funds to create it. And you also spoke to about Andre Wallace in your state, in the state of the city, reminding him that, you know, yes, he will get paid for the work. What did you mean by that, and what was in the process? Talk about the process.
Well, as you know, Andre was a successful bidder for the firehouse station, and generally they did a good job. But what happens, as anything, there were some extras that were created, and it was determined by a deputy commissioner of the fire department and the building commissioner that those monies were due because the work indeed had been done. The problem came because we didn't have enough money in the budget to pay him at the proper time. So in the next cycle, we made sure that that money would be put into the budget so that we can justify and pay legitimate claims for that money.
There were news reports which people, a lot of times they was focusing on the roof, the leaks and the different areas of the roof. Was that Andre Wallace's responsibility in his agreement and what he had to do with the work?
No, that the roof was, again, stood on its own. When we examined the roof, we found that the roof indeed had to be replaced, and a different contractor was hired to do that roof. Again, that was bidded, but Andre had nothing to do with the roof.
Okay. As mayor at the time, and we could close, as mayor at the time, as far as you're aware, all the process, Andre went through all the process, the actual
all
process.
All the processes were accomplished. The job was monitored, and anytime, and I myself would go from time to time. Since I am an architect, it interests me what he was doing, and sometimes I would make changes in the field myself. But we had time constraints that we had to deal with, and I haven't been over there. I guess that was a ribbon cutting, but I was not there for the finish. But he did his work professionally, and he deserved to be paid.
Thank you, Mayor.
As you can see clearly, the money is there. It was put there under the, Ernie's administration before he left to make sure that I was paid for the services that was done to the city. Now, where does it go wrong? Where does this story start to turn? Well, let's get into it. At that point, what happens is I turn around and I become a councilman. And the mayor now comes up and approaches me and asks me to twist the council's arms, including myself, to try to get $750,000 moved out of the contingency fund, which we had a big meeting and Maureen Walker was there and the whole council and everybody else came in to discuss this issue. But Maureen had made it clear, which is the controller, that there is no money to move. And the money that was there was for the police and firefighters' raises, which the mayor decided that he wanted to take the money and then wait on the raises. And we all disagreed with that. Then he came back again to me in the hallway and made me an ultimatum. Either I help push the council to move this agenda to give him that money so he can hire more firefighters. He wanted to knock down some zombie homes. And not only that, he wanted to hire a chief of staff out of the money. He even made other moves here and there to take the money out of the children's summer job programs, which we also disagreed with. So his ultimatum again was, either you get the council to move and do something that he wants, or I would never see my money. Which I told him, I'm not worried about that. I did the right thing, and the money will come because I did the job. So he's been holding that against me for the longest and using that as a tool to try to see if he can get me to do the things that he wants me to do. But I can't be bought, and I made that clear to him. And I will never be bought, and I made that clear to him. So the fight continues. So what does he do? He runs a whole nother, pathetic scam. He claims that myself and Councilman Griffin has broken into the planning department and has stole all the records on the firehouse. So it's very, very ironic that he claims that we broke in there, stole all the records, but then he has the interview with Lohud claiming, once again, that the records that he has have all been falsified, and I've falsified documents. Well then, may I ask this question and make sure that you let the public know. How can I steal all the records, but then you show up with falsified records after you said we stole all the records? This is something that's very interesting. I think we need full transparency and accountability. Release those records that you claim were falsified to the public so the public can see it. Okay? You're asking me to release documents. I'm challenging you to show proof, and I will show proof. And this is how we will do it. And the public will see who is telling the truth and who is lying. This is something that we have to get to the bottom of. So, Mayor, once again, I challenge you to release those falsified documents that you're claiming in this video.
So, Mayor, can you tell us what is wrong with the Emergency Operations Center?
We've been misled. Records have been apparently falsified, and the city's expectations for an emergency operations center has been failed by a contractor who's now a councilman suing the city. So right now we're facing a situation where taxpayers are facing a real serious situation where waste, fraud, and abuse is something that we have to clean up and try and avoid a major penalty by the federal government.
So what needs to be done in order to give Mount Vernon an emergency operations center?
First, we have to make sure that contractors take care of their workers and don't cheat them out of their wages. And secondly, we have to make sure that we understand all the threats and liabilities that come with unfinished, faulty work. So falsifying records is one of the first steps we have to get through. And the next step is to make sure that we have a real tight plan to ensure our federal partners, support us going forward.
Is it even possible to say when the city could have an emergency operations center, like next year, 2018?
What I recall is, when I went through Superstorm Sandy here in the city of Mount Vernon, and I worked with partners in the energy business, we had a plan. And right now we still have plans. My administration is planning around the clock to make sure we're ready for the next big event. But we spent over $1 million here, and I can't see the $1 million for our operations center. And all I can tell you is that we're going to do our best to work with what we have to make sure that we're always ready via planning for the next big event.
As you just saw the video of the mayor claiming that I falsified documents regarding payroll and everything else. Meanwhile, he's still complaining that he has no payroll records, which he put in the lawsuit. I want everybody to think about this. First, he said I couldn't get paid because I'm a councilman. That was their first fight and argument, which made no sense. Second, he turned around and he said that I didn't pay prevailing wage. That was second. Now, he's turning around with a new defense with court again and saying that I falsified documents. Well, where are the documents? And I can't understand, how did you get these documents if you claim in this next clip that the council president and myself stole all the documents?
The mayor of Mount Vernon says he was forced to change the locks on all the doors in City Hall after an internal security breach after hours on Friday night.
Mayor Richard Thomas believes that sensitive, confidential documents may have been taken or observed in the planning department's office. Fox 1's Carolyn Fortino has that story.
Mount Vernon City Council members arrived to work on Monday morning, only to realize they had been locked out. Mayor Richard Thomas says the locks on the Mount Vernon Planning Department's door needed to be changed after Councilman Wallace was trespassing. According to a police report, Councilman Wallace was in the office after 9 p.m. on Friday. Mayor Thomas contends that Wallace was rummaging through confidential documents in the secretary's filing cabinet.
When one of the council members is due approximately $200,000, I mean, what are you doing rummaging around an office where that information may be?
Councilman Wallace admits he filed a lawsuit against the city for $200,000 for work done on a firehouse. And though a Mount Vernon police report names Wallace and shows details of trespassing, Wallace says he never touched confidential documents inside the planning department.
Well, if we wanted HUD papers, all we do is write a letter, and you have to give us the HUD papers. Why would we go up there and steal HUD papers or take anything that we have access to?
Wallace believes Thomas changed the locks in retaliation of subpoenas he issued against the mayor regarding the knocking down of zombie homes.
I've sent letters, and he won't respond to the letters, so the next step I have to do is to subpoena him. You know, we can't allow him to just run and do whatever he wants to do.
Mayor Thomas says he doesn't know yet whether or not formal charges will be filed. He says the police are still trying to determine exactly what documents may have been taken or observed. In Mount Vernon, Carolyn Fortino, Fios 1 News.
As you can see, the video that just played is another attempt to discredit my name for holding the mayor accountable to the city and to the people. I know you don't like when I hold you accountable, but that's what I'm here for. That's what I was voted in for. That's what I said I would do, and that's what I continue to do. So, Mr. Mayor, I can understand you trying to put fraudulent charges on myself and the council president. However, this is another reason you fired Commissioner Kelly, because he would not falsify the reports. He went in and he amended the report so that it reads right and doesn't put us as suspects and criminals going into City Hall and stealing out documents that you claim we have done, which is far from the truth. One thing you did was you fired a man who is honest and had some integrity because he wouldn't follow someone who didn't have any. So I want to let you know this, Mayor. I want to put everything on the table. I'm challenging you. Many times we've already made requests for you to go on Bob Marone, Reisman, News 12, Fios, Black Westchester, CNN, ABC, CBS, anyone that you choose or feel that you're comfortable with going on to. And I'm challenging you and calling you out right now. Let's put your facts on the table, and I'll bring my facts and we'll sit on the table. And this time you won't have Joseph Spezio sitting next to you to try to coach you through the lies, okay? It'll be mano y mano. Let's let the public see the truth. Let's see who's lying. Let's see your falsified documents and I'll show you my payroll. Let's see all the different things that you are complaining about and trying to use, and I'll show you everything that shows that you're wrong and that you're lying and that you have not at any time come through with any facts. You're hollow, you're phony, you're fake, and so is your lawsuits, and so is the game that you're playing. So I'm challenging you, Mayor. Anytime you're ready, let's get it on. Let's put everything on the table. You ran on full transparency. So let's be that. I'm already that. I'm challenging you to step into full transparency. I'm challenging you to set the record straight. Let's see who's telling the truth, and let's see who's lying.